Men are moved by two levers only: fear and self-interest. Napoleon Bonaparte, they tell you that people are honest, that what you see is what you get. They want you to believe that everyone plays fair, that intentions are always pure. That's a comfortable lie, isn't it? It keeps you predictable, it keeps you manageable. But here we deal in truth, however uncomfortable. The truth is, every interaction is a negotiation. Every conversation is a subtle dance for control, and most people aren't even aware they're dancing. Hidden motives aren't some shadowy conspiracy reserved for movie villains. They are the bedrock of human interaction. Think about the last time someone complimented your shirt. Was it genuine admiration, or were they trying to soften you up before asking for a favor? Consider the colleague who always agrees with your ideas in meetings. Are they truly supportive, or are they trying to leech off your success? The world is full of people subtly, unconsciously, or even deliberately manipulating your perceptions to get what they want. To deny this is to walk blindfolded through a minefield. We're not suggesting that everyone is inherently malicious. Not at all. Most of these manipulations are subtle, almost invisible. They stem from deep-seated insecurities, from a desire for validation, from the primal urge to climb the social ladder. The problem is, whether intentional or not, these hidden agendas affect you. They influence your decisions, your emotions, your entire worldview. And if you can't see them, you become a pawn in someone else's game. So how do you unveil these hidden motives? It starts with awareness. Stop taking everything at face value. Question the underlying reasons behind people's actions. Look for inconsistencies between their words and their behavior. Pay attention to their microexpression, the fleeting glimpses of true emotion that betray their carefully constructed facade. Are their eyes smiling even when their mouth isn't? Do they subtly mirror your body language? These are the clues, the breadcrumbs that lead you to the truth. Don't be naive enough to think that everyone has your best interests at heart. Some people are genuinely supportive and kind, but others are playing a different game, a game where you might be the target. Learn to recognize the signs. Learn to anticipate their moves. Learn to protect yourself. Because in the complex game of social interaction, knowledge is your most powerful weapon, and we're here to arm you. We're here to show you how to see the invisible, to understand the unspoken, and to navigate the treacherous landscape of hidden motives. The key to understanding hidden motives lies in understanding the human psyche itself. We're all driven by fundamental needs: the need for security, the need for belonging, the need for significance. When these needs aren't met in a healthy way, people often resort to manipulative tactics to get what they want. Think about the office gossip, spreading rumors to elevate their own social standing. Or the friend who always plays the victim, seeking attention and sympathy. These behaviors aren't random. They're calculated strategies, often unconscious, designed to fulfill unmet needs. To detect them, you need to become a student of human behavior. Study the works of psychologists like Robert Cialdini, whose research on persuasion reveals the predictable ways people are influenced. Understand the principles of cognitive biases, the mental shortcuts that can lead us to make irrational decisions. Learn to recognize the common manipulation techniques: gaslighting, projection, guilt tripping. Each of these tactics is a tool used to control your perception and your behavior. When someone uses gaslighting, they're trying to make you doubt your own sanity. When they use projection, they're attributing their own flaws and insecurities to you. When they use guilt tripping, they're playing on your emotions to get you to do what they want. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to diffusing them. But it's not enough to simply identify the tactics. You also need to understand the underlying motivations. Why is this person trying to manipulate you? What are they hoping to gain? Are they seeking power, control, validation, or simply attention? The answer to this question will often reveal the person's deepest insecurities and vulnerabilities. And understanding their vulnerabilities is crucial to understanding their strategy. For example, someone who constantly brags about their accomplishments is likely driven by a deep-seated need for validation. They're trying to convince themselves, as much as they're trying to convince you, that they're worthy of respect and admiration. Knowing this allows you to see their behavior not as arrogance, but as a sign of insecurity. And that changes the way you respond. Instead of being intimidated or annoyed, you can approach them with empathy and understanding. This doesn't mean you should let them walk all over you. It simply means you can respond in a way that disarms their manipulation and protects your own boundaries. Consider the power of mirroring. People are naturally drawn to those who are like them. Manipulators often exploit this tendency by subtly mirroring your behavior, your language, and your values. They're trying to create a sense of rapport to make you feel comfortable and trusting. Once they've established that connection, they can then begin to influence you more easily. The key is to be aware of this tactic and to resist the urge to blindly trust someone simply because they seem to be on the same wavelength. Look for genuine connection, not just superficial agreement. Pay attention to their actions, not just their words. Do their behaviors align with their stated values? Are they consistently reliable and trustworthy? Or do they only seem to be on your side when it benefits them? These are the questions you need to ask yourself to determine whether someone is genuinely aligned with you or simply trying to manipulate you. Moreover, observe the ripple effect of their actions on others. A manipulator rarely confines their tactics to a single target. They often leave a trail of collateral damage in their wake. Look for patterns of behavior. Do they consistently create conflict, spread gossip, or undermine others? If so, it's a strong indication that they're not to be trusted. Another important aspect of understanding hidden motives is to be aware of your own vulnerabilities. What are your weaknesses? What are your insecurities? What are the things that people can exploit to get you to do what they want? We all have blind spots, and manipulators are skilled at identifying and exploiting them. For example, if you're someone who tends to be overly trusting, you might be more susceptible to flattery and charm. If you're someone who struggles with assertiveness, you might be more likely to give in to pressure and intimidation. Knowing your vulnerabilities is crucial to protecting yourself. It allows you to anticipate potential threats and to develop strategies for deflecting them. Learn to recognize the warning signs that someone is trying to exploit your weaknesses. Pay attention to your gut feeling. If something feels off, trust your instincts. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to set boundaries. And don't be afraid to walk away from a situation that feels uncomfortable or unsafe. Ultimately, the best defense against hidden motives is self-awareness. The more you understand yourself, the more you'll be able to see through the manipulations of others. Consider the cutthroat world of corporate acquisitions. Two companies, Alpha and Beta, are vying for control of Gamma, a smaller firm with valuable intellectual property. On the surface, both Alpha and Beta present themselves as benevolent saviors, promising Gamma's employees job security and investment in future growth. However, the hidden motives run much deeper. Alpha, a lumbering giant in the industry, sees Gamma's intellectual property as a way to revitalize its own aging product line. Their promise of investment is contingent on stripping Gamma's assets and integrating them into Alpha's existing infrastructure, likely resulting in significant layoffs and the stifling of Gamma's innovative culture. Beta, a more agile and technologically advanced company, has a different agenda. They recognize Gamma's potential as a disruptive force and aim to acquire them primarily to eliminate a potential competitor. Their promise of job security is a carefully crafted lie, designed to lull Gamma's employees into a false sense of security. Once the acquisition is complete, Beta plans to dismantle Gamma's research and development team, effectively burying the innovative ideas that threaten their market dominance. The key players in this scenario are masters of deception. Alpha's CEO, a seasoned veteran of corporate warfare, employs a strategy of overwhelming force. He uses his company's size and influence to intimidate Gamma's board of directors, subtly threatening to undermine their reputation if they choose to align with Beta. He paints Beta as a reckless upstart, incapable of providing the stability that Gamma needs. Beta's CEO, a younger and more cunning strategist, takes a more subtle approach. He cultivates relationships with key individuals within Gamma, appealing to their ambition and promising them prominent positions within the newly merged company. He feeds them carefully curated information designed to sow discord and distrust towards Alpha, portraying them as dinosaurs on the verge of extinction. The employees of Gamma are caught in the middle, desperately trying to decipher the hidden motives of these corporate giants. They attend town hall meetings where they are bombarded with empty promises and carefully crafted narratives. They listen to rumors and gossip, trying to piece together the truth from fragments of information. They fear for their jobs, their livelihoods, and their futures. The acquisition process becomes a battleground of psychological warfare. Alpha launches a public relations campaign designed to sway public opinion in their favor, highlighting their commitment to innovation and job creation. Beta responds with a series of targeted attacks, exposing Alpha's past failures and questioning their ability to deliver on their promises. Behind the scenes, both companies engage in covert operations, attempting to gather intelligence on their rivals' strategies and weaknesses. They hire private investigators to dig up dirt on key individuals, hoping to gain leverage in the negotiations. They plant moles within each other's organizations, feeding them misinformation and disrupting their operations. The ethical boundaries are blurred as both companies prioritize their own self-interest above all else. They are willing to bend the rules to deceive and to manipulate in order to achieve their goals. The fate of Gamma and its employees hangs in the balance, a stark reminder of the ruthless nature of the corporate world. This illustrates that hidden motives are often obscured by layers of carefully constructed narratives and deceptive tactics. Recognizing these patterns is essential to protect yourself from being manipulated. In this environment, the weak stumble because they mistake surface appearances for genuine intentions. They accept the presented narrative without questioning the underlying motives. They believe in the promises made without considering the potential for deception. They fail to recognize that every action is driven by a specific agenda, and that every statement is carefully crafted to achieve a desired outcome. This blindness is their downfall. They become pawns in a game they don't even realize they are playing. They are easily influenced by emotional appeals and persuasive rhetoric, unable to see the logical flaws and inconsistencies in the arguments presented to them. Their lack of awareness makes them vulnerable to manipulation, leaving them susceptible to exploitation by those with hidden motives. They react impulsively, based on their emotions, rather than acting strategically, based on careful analysis. They trust blindly, without demanding evidence or questioning assumptions. They are led astray by their own naivete, walking directly into traps set by more cunning players. The weak also tend to underestimate the power of perception. They believe that reality is objective and that everyone sees the world as they do. They fail to understand that perception is subjective and that it can be easily manipulated. They don't realize that those with hidden motives are actively shaping their perception of events, carefully controlling the information they receive and the way it is presented. They are unaware of the subtle cues and signals that reveal true intentions, missing the micro-expressions, the shifts in body language, and the carefully chosen words that betray the underlying agenda. They are too focused on the surface level to see the hidden depths. They are easily distracted by irrelevant details, missing the bigger picture and the underlying patterns. They are like fish swimming in a tank, oblivious to the fisherman waiting patiently with his net. Furthermore, the weak are often paralyzed by fear. They are afraid of challenging authority, of questioning the status quo, and of speaking out against injustice. They are afraid of the consequences of their actions, of being ostracized, ridiculed, or punished. This fear silences them, preventing them from taking the necessary steps to protect themselves. They become complicit in their own downfall, passively accepting the actions of those with hidden motives. They rationalize their inaction, telling themselves that it's not their place to interfere, that things will work out in the end, or that someone else will take care of the problem. They avoid confrontation, hoping to remain unnoticed and unscathed. They fail to realize that their silence is interpreted as consent, and that their passivity only emboldens those who seek to exploit them. Another key weakness is the inability to recognize and manage their own emotions. The weak are easily triggered by emotional appeals, becoming defensive, angry, or fearful. They allow their emotions to cloud their judgment, making them susceptible to manipulation. They are unable to separate their feelings from the facts, reacting impulsively rather than strategically. They are easily provoked, allowing others to control their behavior through emotional manipulation. They lack self-awareness, failing to recognize their own emotional vulnerabilities and how they can be exploited. They are like puppets on a string, their emotions being manipulated by those who understand how to pull the right levers. They are unable to maintain composure under pressure, cracking under stress and revealing their weaknesses to their opponents. They are driven by their emotions, rather than controlling them, making them easy targets for manipulation. Finally, the weak lack the necessary skills to navigate complex social situations. They are unable to read people effectively, to understand their motivations, and to anticipate their actions. They are socially awkward, struggling to build rapport and establish meaningful connections. They are easily intimidated by those with more social power, deferring to their authority without question. They are naive about the realities of social dynamics, believing that everyone is inherently good and that people always act in their best interests. They are unaware of the subtle power plays and the hidden agendas that operate beneath the surface of social interactions. They are like lambs among wolves, unaware of the danger that surrounds them. They fail to develop the necessary skills to protect themselves, making them vulnerable to exploitation. They are easily outmaneuvered and outwitted by those who understand the art of social manipulation. They don't understand the unspoken rules of the game, and they are constantly breaking them, often without even realizing it. To exploit the weak is not a matter of cruelty, but a matter of strategy. It's understanding that the world is a game of power, and those who refuse to play are destined to be pieces moved by others. The Machiavellian approach starts with identifying vulnerabilities. These are the cracks in a person's armor, the points where their defenses are weakest. This could be anything from a deep-seated insecurity to an overwhelming desire for approval. Once these vulnerabilities are identified, they can be leveraged to control the other person's actions and decisions. This is not about physical force, but about psychological influence. It's about understanding what makes people tick, what they fear, and what they desire. Then, using that knowledge to subtly guide their behavior. The Machiavellian understands the power of manipulation. It's the art of persuading someone to do something they wouldn't normally do, often without them even realizing they are being manipulated. This can be achieved through a variety of tactics, such as flattery, guilt-tripping, or playing on their emotions. The key is to be subtle and to avoid arousing suspicion. The goal is to make the other person believe that they are making their own decisions, when in reality, they are simply acting according to your plan. The Machiavellian approach requires a certain level of detachment. It's about seeing people as tools, rather than as individuals with their own feelings and desires. This can be difficult for those who are naturally empathetic, but it's essential for anyone who wants to master the art of manipulation. The Machiavellian must be able to set aside their own emotions and focus on the objective at hand. This is not about being cruel or heartless, but about being pragmatic. It's about recognizing that sometimes the only way to achieve your goals is to manipulate others. The Machiavellian understands the importance of deception. It's the art of creating a false impression, of concealing your true intentions, and of misleading others about your true motives. This can be achieved through a variety of tactics, such as lying, exaggeration, or omission. The key is to be believable and to avoid getting caught. The goal is to make others believe what you want them to believe, even if it's not true. The Machiavellian approach is not for the faint of heart. It requires a willingness to do whatever it takes to achieve your goals, even if it means sacrificing your own morality. It's about being ruthless, cunning, and always one step ahead of the competition. But for those who are willing to embrace the dark side of human nature, The Machiavellian approach can be a powerful tool for success. The ability to identify and exploit weaknesses is crucial in social interactions. It's about understanding what motivates people, what their fears are, and what insecurities they harbor. This knowledge allows you to tailor your approach and manipulate them to your advantage. For instance, if someone is overly concerned with their appearance, you can use flattery or criticism to control their behavior. If someone is driven by a desire for power, you can offer them opportunities to gain influence or threaten their existing position. The key is to identify their vulnerabilities and exploit them strategically. The Machiavellian approach also involves understanding the power of leverage. This is the ability to use a small advantage to gain a much larger one. For instance, if you have information that someone wants, you can use it to extract concessions from them. If you have a relationship with someone important, you can use that connection to open doors for yourself. The key is to identify your leverage points and use them to your advantage. The ability to manipulate emotions is also a critical skill. This involves understanding how emotions work and how to trigger them in others. For instance, you can use fear to motivate people, guilt to control them, or anger to provoke them. The key is to understand the emotional landscape of your target and use it to your advantage. However, it's important to be subtle in your manipulation. If you are too obvious, people will become suspicious and resist your efforts. The goal is to subtly influence their behavior without them realizing that they are being manipulated. This requires a high level of social intelligence and an understanding of human psychology. The Machiavellian approach also involves understanding the importance of perception. This is the ability to control how others perceive you and the situation. For instance, you can create an image of power and competence, even if you don't actually possess those qualities. You can also manipulate the narrative to make yourself look good and your opponents look bad. The key is to control the information that people receive and shape their perceptions to your advantage. Finally, the Machiavellian approach requires a certain level of ruthlessness. This is the willingness to do whatever it takes to achieve your goals, even if it means sacrificing the well-being of others. It's about prioritizing your own interests above all else and being willing to exploit others to get ahead. However, it's important to be strategic in your ruthlessness. If you are too blatant, you will alienate people and damage your reputation. The key is to be calculated and to only use ruthlessness when it is absolutely necessary. The Machiavellian approach is not for everyone, but for those who are willing to embrace it, it can be a powerful tool for success. It's about understanding the dynamics of power and using them to your advantage. It's about being strategic, manipulative, and ruthless in your pursuit of your goals. But it's also about being intelligent, perceptive, and adaptable. The Machiavellian is a master of social engineering, able to navigate the complex landscape of human interactions and achieve their objectives through subtle manipulation and strategic planning. The goal is always dominance and control, achieved through a deep understanding of human nature and the skillful application of psychological tactics. They understand the power of framing, the ability to control the narrative and influence how others perceive reality. By carefully crafting their message and shaping the context, they can manipulate the opinions and beliefs of their target audience. They are masters of persuasion, able to use rhetoric and emotional appeals to sway others to their point of view. They understand the importance of building rapport and establishing trust, but they are also willing to betray that trust if it serves their purposes. The Machiavellian is a chameleon, able to adapt their personality and behavior to suit the situation. They can be charming and charismatic when necessary, but they can also be cold and calculating when the situation demands it. They are skilled at reading people and understanding their motivations, allowing them to anticipate their actions and exploit their weaknesses. They are masters of deception, able to lie convincingly and conceal their true intentions. They understand the power of silence and the importance of listening more than they speak. They are patient and persistent, willing to wait for the right opportunity to strike. They are not afraid to take risks, but they are also careful to calculate the potential consequences. The Machiavellian is a master of the game, always